What area do you think is missed most often when company leaders do strategic planning? Strategic planning typically involves doing a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Strategic planning involves looking at sales, marketing, branding, different divisions, opportunities, innovation, maybe some cost-cutting measures. Of course, strategic planning involves taking a look at the financials. But there's one huge area of the business that is often left out. And because of that, companies often have an Achilles heel. The area is legal analysis, a quick legal review, and it doesn't have to take much. Today I'm going to talk through some easy, simple topics to make sure you address in your strategic planning for your company. By doing this, you have some significant benefits. First, you make sure you avoid all the cost and distraction that comes from an audit, investigation, lawsuit, or some other legal dispute. Second, you start the year confident that you're protecting your intellectual property. Your most important relationships have your attention, and you've lined up all the legal pieces to ensure that you are poised for strength and for growth this year. Let's get into the list. First off, let's talk about intellectual property. What is your intellectual property? What can you protect by copyright, patent, trademark, trade secret? What are the important assets that you have? So first, once you've identified what those are, then you can talk about how do we protect them? Do we do a copyright registration or a trademark registration or a patent application? Do we need to make sure that certain secret confidential information is protected within the company? And how do we do that? It might be through confidentiality agreements with vendors. It might be through properly labeling or marking confidential information as confidential, so that if there is ever a dispute later, you can demonstrate that you made reasonable efforts to keep that information confidential. So, on the topic of intellectual property, first identify what is your intellectual property in the company, and step two, how do you protect it? The next category is contracts. What are the big relationships in your business? What relationships does your business depend on? This is either who you buy from. You might buy services, you might receive services, whether that's tech or consultants or independent contractors or some other vendors. Or it might be products, suppliers, people you buy goods and products from. That's one piece. The second is who do you sell to? Your customers, your clients, those people who rely on your services, who pay you money. Typically, that's going to be the largest portion of your gross revenue. Who are those big relationships? And are they protected by contract, or at least protected with some intentionality on the part of the company leadership? Similar to that, is there a risk of employees of yours, maybe even on the executive team, leaving the company and taking some of those key strategic relationships with? If so, what protections can you put in place for the company to protect that important relationship? On the topic of important relationships is the employees. The people who are on your team, as you may know, often the most harmful individuals to a company are the employees who have left and who are angry about something and now are sharing from their tainted perspective what happened. So thinking about, do you have the proper employment policies in place, procedures, discipline, discharge, accountability systems, scorecard or dashboard? What does your accountability system look like? Maybe you use an entrepreneurial operating system. Maybe you use some other system. Regardless of what that is, thinking through both the practical accountability component and the legal aspect of that helps you walk into the new year strong and emboldened by knowing you have comprehensive protections in place to avoid losing key people or having them end up being a competitor or otherwise hurting your company. Next, reviewing your corporate structure and legal documents. Are you making sure that you're staying compliant with state laws, you have proper filings in place, you're treating the shareholders and the board with the formalities that are required by law? Next, data privacy and security. This is a huge important area because AI has exponentially improved the ability of computers to get past security and gather data. So not just thinking about the AI and computer security side of this, but also the legal side. If there is a data breach, what legal protections do you have in place? And are you staying compliant with all of the different government laws regarding data privacy and keeping computer data confidential? The next area is tax planning. This is a great opportunity to work with your attorney or CPA to think about how can we reduce taxes? How can we pay our fair share but not overpay? Let's look at all the lawful ways to reduce taxes and minimize what we're paying in taxes so we can maximize profits for the shareholders. The next area is litigation risk management. This means just stepping back and thinking about, if we were sued as a business, what would we be sued for? And can we get insurance to protect ourselves? And is there anything else we can do proactively to protect ourselves? This really depends on the type of business you're in. Obviously, a construction business and a newspaper business will have very different risks around getting sued. But thinking as a leadership team, what is it that you could get sued for this year? And then what can you do about it? Either insurance or other steps you can take internally to mitigate that risk. The next area is regulatory compliance. This involves making sure that your company is following all the state and federal laws, including regulations and rules and other laws that you are governed by. Often business owners have no idea what those are. And so unfortunately, those rules can create an Achilles heel for the business. All of a sudden you have an OSHA investigation or an EEOC investigation or an IRS investigation or audit. Attorneys general may initiate investigations. By thinking ahead strategically and making sure you have dealt with all of those things, you can avoid the distraction and the expense of bringing in attorneys after the fact. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as the old saying goes. You might say, why hasn't my attorney ever talked to me about this? Well, normally, attorneys who are more technicians, they're trained to solve the problems you present to them. It is not typical for an attorney to start jumping into your business and asking you all sorts of questions about topics that you didn't bring up. Normally what an attorney will do is wait for you to bring up a problem or a topic and then discuss that topic with you. So if you are interested in making sure all these issues are covered in your strategic planning, consider bringing them up with your attorney. I'm not suggesting that I be that attorney. Rather, I'm suggesting that you have a conversation with your attorney about these different areas. Say to your attorney, I want you to think proactively. Will you help me think through all of these areas so we make sure our business is protected? This is one practical step you can take as a company leader to improve your strategic planning at the beginning of each year to strengthen your company, minimize losses, minimize legal distractions, reduce legal fees, and allow you to focus on what you love, which is growing a company that serves your customer base rather than being pulled in to all the legal entanglement of audits, lawsuits, investigations, and other legal action. Now, if you'd like to know more about how to avoid trouble like this, I have a free resource at aaronhall.com/free. I provide information for business owners of small to mid-sized companies on how to avoid common legal problems. That includes a PDF, it includes videos talking about important issues. You can go to aaronhall.com/free. I'm Aaron Hall. I'm an attorney for business owners and entrepreneurial companies. Thanks for joining me here today. If you'd like, subscribe to this channel so you can get more educational content like this.